Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Once, in a kingdom of tall pines and winter snow, a queen sat by a window of black wood. She stitched a white cloth. She pricked her finger. She saw 3 bright drops of red fall across the white. She wished for a child with skin as white as snow. She wished for lips as red as blood, and hair as black as the window's ebony frame. Time passed, and the queen's wish came true. A little princess was born. They named her Snow White. When the queen died, the king later married again. He chose a proud woman who cared only for her own beauty. She owned a mirror. It always told the truth. As Snow White grew, her kindness shone. Her beauty glowed like morning light. The new queen asked her mirror who was the fairest in the land. The mirror praised Snow White. Envy took root in the queen's heart. It grew like a thorn. She ordered a huntsman to take Snow White into the deep forest. He was to leave her there. The huntsman led the girl among tall trees. Whispering ferns grew around them. But when Snow White looked at him with brave, tearful eyes, he could not harm her. "Run," he said, "and never return to the queen." Snow White ran until evening colored the sky. At last she found a small cottage. Inside was a neat table, tiny chairs, and 7 little plates set in a row. She ate a crumb from each plate. She sipped a drop from each cup and fell asleep on a small bed. When night fell, the owners returned. They were 7 dwarfs who worked in the mountains. They found the girl sleeping. They listened to her gentle breathing. In the morning, Snow White told her story. The dwarfs took pity on her. "Stay with us," they said. "Keep our home tidy and be careful of strangers." Snow White agreed. She lived happily with the dwarfs, singing softly as she swept and cooked. But the queen's mirror spoke again. It named Snow White as the fairest. The dwarfs went to work. They begged her to be cautious. "Do not open the door to anyone," they warned. The queen disguised herself as a peddler. She went into the forest. The queen brought a rosy apple. It was fair to see and sweet to smell. One half was harmless. The other half held deep sleep. Snow White took a bite. She fell into a silent, breathless sleep. The dwarfs could not wake her. They wept bitterly. They laid her in a clear coffin upon the hill. The pines around them sang. One day, a prince traveling through the forest saw the sleeping girl. He felt great respect and sorrow. He asked to carry the coffin to a safe place. There she would be honored and watched over. As his servants walked, they stumbled. A piece of apple slipped from Snow White's throat. She opened her eyes. It was as if she woke from a long, gentle night. The prince rejoiced. The dwarfs danced with relief. Snow White thanked them all for their care. She thanked them for their kindness. She chose to leave the forest. She wished to see the wide world with friends who treasured honesty. News of her waking reached the queen. She looked again into her truth-telling mirror. Seeing her envy had failed, she fled the court. She was never seen there again. Snow White lived with joy and care. She remembered the dwarfs and visited them often. She learned that kindness is a lantern in dark woods. She learned that envy is a storm that breaks its own house. And so the mountains kept their songs. And good hearts kept their light. Good night. From Safira Dreams. May your dreams be filled with wonder, and may every story bring peace. Safira Dreams, where stories become dreams.